Imagine you are the most powerful person on the planet. You command armies. Nations bow to you. The entire known world is yours to rule. And yet, every single morning, before you do anything else, before you meet with generals, before you issue commands, before you are dressed in imperial robes, you sit down alone and you write. Not orders, not proclamations. You write reminders to yourself about how to be a better human being. That man was Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, Stoic philosopher, and quite possibly the most self-disciplined ruler who ever lived. And what he wrote. It changed the world, and it can change yours. Welcome back to Wisdom of the Stoics, the channel dedicated to ancient philosophy that works in the modern world. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because what we cover on this channel isn't just theory, it's life-changing practice. Today we're going deep. We're breaking down 12 Stoic rules from Marcus Aurelius. Rules. He didn't just write about rules, he tried every single day to live by. Rules pulled directly from his private journal, a book never meant to be published, never meant to be seen, called Meditations. Think about that for a second. This man had every luxury available to him. He could have spent his evenings feasting, celebrating, indulging. Instead, he sat alone and held himself accountable to a higher standard. That's the kind of person we're talking about. Now, I want to ask you something before we begin, and I want you to actually think about this. When was the last time you truly reflected on how you're living your life? Not just rushing from task to task, but actually pausing and asking, am I becoming the person I want to be? If the answer makes you uncomfortable, good, that discomfort. Marcus Aurelius would call it the beginning of wisdom. Let's dive in. Rule number 1, control only what you can control. Rule number 1, and honestly, if you only take one thing from this entire video, let it be this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Simple words, but absolutely devastating in their depth. Here's the truth most of us refuse to accept. We spend the majority of our mental energy, our worry, our anxiety, our frustration, on things we have absolutely no control over. What other people think of us, whether we get the promotion, whether the economy crashes, whether it rains on our wedding day. And here's the brutal irony, all that energy, completely wasted. Marcus Aurelius divided the world into 2 categories. Things within your control, your thoughts, your choices, your reactions, your effort, and things outside your control, everything else. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. And the moment you truly internalize it, something remarkable happens. You stop fighting reality. You stop wasting yourself on battles you can never win. And you redirect all that energy, all of it, toward the one arena where you actually have power, yourself. Here's a practical exercise Marcus actually used. Whenever something frustrated or worried him, he would ask, is this within my control? If yes, act immediately, decisively. If no, let it go. Not because you don't care, but because caring without the ability to act is just self-inflicted suffering. I want you to think about one thing in your life right now that you've been agonizing over, something you genuinely cannot control. Got it? Now imagine releasing it, not with defeat, but with the quiet confidence of someone who knows where their real power lies. That's Stoicism, and that's just rule 1. Rule number 2, begin each day with purpose. Every morning, Marcus Aurelius woke up and faced what he called the obstacle of the bed. He literally wrote about the struggle of getting up, and he was the emperor of Rome. He wrote, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain about if I'm going to do what I was born for? That question hits differently, doesn't it? Here's the thing. Most of us treat mornings as something to survive. Hit snooze, scroll through our phones, react to everyone else's agenda before we've even had a chance to form our own. Marcus did the opposite. He designed his mornings. He used the early hours, before the chaos of the empire descended on him, to set his philosophical compass for the day. He would remind himself of his values, anticipate challenges, prepare his mind for what was coming. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, the deliberate mental rehearsal of what could go wrong, so that when it did, you weren't blindsided. You were ready. Rule number 2 is simple. Before the world gets its hands on your day, claim it first, even 5 minutes. No phone, just stillness. Ask yourself, what matters most today? What kind of person do I want to be today? What challenges might I face, and how will I respond with virtue? This single habit, practiced consistently, will change the entire texture of your life. And here's a question for you. Drop your answer in the comments below. What does your morning currently look like? And after hearing this, what's one thing you want to change? Rule number 3. Embrace obstacles as opportunities. Now we get to one of the most counterintuitive ideas in all of Stoic philosophy. And once you understand it, truly understand it, it will rewire how you see every single setback in your life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Let that breathe for a moment. Not, despite this obstacle, I'll find a way, but because of this obstacle, I will grow. The obstacle itself is the opportunity. The resistance is the training. B-roll, athlete training in the rain. A small business owner working late after a setback. A student failing a test, then studying harder. Think about every great person you admire. Every one of them has a story, not of smooth, uninterrupted success, but of devastating failure that became the defining turning point. The business that failed and taught them everything they needed to succeed. The relationship that ended and forced them to discover who they really were. The illness that slowed them down and made them finally appreciate the life they'd been taking for granted. Marcus faced plague, war, betrayal, the deaths of his children. He ruled during one of the most turbulent periods in Roman history, and yet he didn't crumble. He bent, he absorbed, and he grew, because he had internalized this rule so deeply that obstacles didn't just stop frightening him, they began to fuel him. The next time something goes wrong, and something will go wrong, try asking this instead of, why is this happening to me? What is this obstacle teaching me? How is this exact setback preparing me for exactly what comes next? The answer might just change everything. Rule number 4, practice negative visualization. Here's a rule that sounds dark on the surface, but is one of the most joy-producing practices in all of philosophy. Marcus Aurelius regularly practiced what we now call negative visualization. He would deliberately imagine losing the things he loved most, his health, his relationships, his life itself, not to be morbid, not to live in fear, but to feel, in his bones, how precious those things truly were. He wrote, "Perfection of character is this, to live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense." There's something the ancient Stoics understood that modern psychology is only now catching up to. We adapt to good things incredibly fast. The new car loses its magic in 2 weeks. The raise stops feeling exciting. The relationship that once made your heart race becomes routine. This psychological phenomenon is called hedonic adaptation, and it is the enemy of gratitude, of presence, of joy. Negative visualization is the antidote. B-roll, parent watching their child play, genuine, unhurried joy, friends laughing together, an older person sitting in a garden, peaceful. Try this tonight. Think of someone you love deeply. Now, for just 30 seconds, allow yourself to imagine a world where they're no longer in it. Feel that ache? That is what Marcus wanted you to feel, not as punishment, but as a reminder. A reminder that what you have right now, in this moment, is irreplaceable. That the ordinary moments are the extraordinary moments. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotion. It's about feeling the right emotions in their full depth, including gratitude, love and wonder. Practice this. It will make you one of the most present, grateful and joyful people in any room. Rule number 5, act justly toward others. Marcus Aurelius believed that humans were, at their core, social creatures, built for cooperation, not competition. Built for community, not isolation. And he took this seriously, not just as philosophy, but as policy. He wrote, "What injures the hive injures the bee." In other words, Your well-being and the well-being of those around you are inseparable. When you treat others unjustly, when you lie, when you exploit, when you dismiss people's dignity, you don't just harm them. You harm yourself. You corrode something inside you that is very difficult to restore. Marcus led over 60 million people, and his governing principle was not dominance or fear, it was justice. He believed every person, slave, senator, philosopher, farmer, deserved to be treated with fairness and respect, because every person shared the same fundamental human dignity. Rule number 5 is this: treat every person you encounter today as if their dignity matters, because it does, not as a performance of kindness, not because it makes you look good, but because it is simply right. And here's the long game. The way you treat people becomes your reputation. Your reputation becomes your legacy. And your legacy is the only thing that outlives you. Rule number 6. Do not fear death. Fear unlived life. We are now at the halfway point of our rules, and I want to go somewhere a little uncomfortable. Let's talk about death. Marcus thought about death constantly, not because he was morbid, but because he understood something that most of us spend our entire lives running from. Death is not the enemy. Unlived life is. He wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Think about the things you keep putting off, the conversation you need to have, the creative project you've been about to start for 3 years, the dream you've quietly shelved because the timing isn't right. The timing will never be perfect. Marcus ruled an empire for nearly 2 decades. He fought wars, managed crises, raised a family, dealt with catastrophic plague, and he still found time to philosophize, to write, to reflect, to live intentionally. What's your excuse? The Stoics practiced something called memento mori, Latin for remember that you will die, not as a threat, as a liberation. Because once you truly accept that your time here is finite, not as an abstract idea, but as a visceral, emotional reality, everything changes. The petty things fall away. The important things snap into sharp relief. Your relationships, your integrity, your growth, your presence. If you knew you had 1 year left, what would you stop doing? What would you start? Don't wait to find out the hard way. Rule number 7, never stop seeking self-improvement. Here is something that often surprises people when they learn about Marcus Aurelius. He never once wrote in Meditations as if he had figured anything out. Not a single moment of "I've arrived." Not one self-congratulatory reflection. Every entry reads like a man still in progress, still struggling, still learning, still falling short and resolving to try again tomorrow. He wrote, "Never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect. And waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This is rule number 7. The pursuit of virtue is never finished. The work is never done. In our culture, we are obsessed with arrival. We want to reach the goal, hit the milestone, unlock the achievement, and then be done. Marcus would find this deeply confused. He saw life not as a race toward a finish line, but as a practice, like meditation, like music, like a martial art. You don't become a great pianist and then stop playing. You play every day, because the playing is the point. Self-improvement is not a destination. It's a discipline. And the most encouraging part? You don't have to be perfect. Marcus wasn't perfect. He had flaws, blind spots, failures, many of which he acknowledged in his own journal. You just have to be better than you were yesterday. 1% better. One small decision more aligned with your values. 1 moment more patient. 1 instance more honest. That's enough. Do it every day. And watch who you become. Rule number 8. Live according to nature. Marcus Aurelius and all Stoic philosophers believed there was a natural order to the universe, a logos, a rational principle running through everything. And they believed that humans, as rational beings, were most fully alive when they aligned with that order. He wrote, "Confine yourself to the present and dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them." Rule number 8 is about alignment, about not fighting your own nature as a human being. You are built for reason, for community, for purpose. When you spend your days doing work that feels meaningless, when you isolate yourself from genuine human connection, when you drown your mind in distraction rather than engaging it, you are fighting your own nature, and fighting your nature is exhausting. Living in alignment, that's where ease lives. Not laziness, but the deep, grounded ease of a life that makes sense. Ask yourself, in which areas of my life am I fighting my nature? Where am I pretending to be something I'm not? Where am I abandoning what I know is right in favor of what is merely easy or popular? That's where the work is, and that's where the freedom is too.
Rule number 9, guard your inner citadel. One of Marcus Aurelius's most powerful metaphors was what he called the inner citadel. He imagined the mind as a fortress, something that, if properly built and defended, no external force could breach. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." And more pointedly, the first rule is to keep an untroubled spirit. The second is to look things in the face and know them for what they are. Here's what this means in practice. People will insult you. Systems will fail you. Life will be unfair. Plans will collapse. Other people will make choices that affect you. Choices you hate. Choices you can't stop. None of that has to touch your core. Marcus was personally betrayed by people he trusted. He watched loved ones die. He fought wars he didn't want to fight. He was blamed for catastrophes he didn't cause. And he kept building his inner citadel, brick by brick, day by day, through the practice of philosophy. Rule number 9 is this: your inner world is your responsibility and your sanctuary. The news can rage, social media can scream. The world can spin into apparent chaos. If your inner citadel is built, nothing can take your peace without your permission. That peace is built through consistent practice, reflection, self-examination, reading stillness. Marcus didn't stumble upon tranquility. He constructed it every single day. Rule number 10, practice voluntary discomfort. This is the rule that modern people resist the most, and perhaps need the most. Marcus Aurelius, like all Stoics, regularly practiced voluntary discomfort. Simple living, fasting, cold exposure, sleeping on hard surfaces, wearing simple clothing despite his enormous wealth. Why? He wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" The purpose was not self-punishment. The purpose was inoculation. When you voluntarily face discomfort, you discover something liberating. It's never as bad as you feared. And more importantly, you realize that your well-being is not actually dependent on comfort, luxury, or convenience. That realization makes you free in a way that money cannot buy. In our era of infinite convenience, we've been sold the idea that the goal of life is to eliminate all friction. Every inconvenience is a problem to be solved. Every discomfort is a complaint to be filed. And the result? A generation that struggles enormously when real hardship arrives, because they have never deliberately practiced enduring it. Voluntary discomfort is training. It is building the capacity to face difficulty with dignity. Start small. Take a cold shower tomorrow morning. Skip one meal. Walk instead of drive. Say no to the thing you want but don't need.
Not forever. Just long enough to hear yourself say, "I can handle more than I thought." Rule number 11, serve something greater than yourself. Marcus Aurelius did not rule Rome for his own glory. He could have. Many emperors did. Some ruled with brutality, vanity, and self-indulgence. Marcus chose a different path. He saw his position not as a prize to be enjoyed, but as a responsibility to be discharged. He wrote, "A little while and you will have forgotten everything. A little while and everything will have forgotten you. I see nothing of permanent importance. We are all working together for the same end. Some of us knowingly and purposefully, others without knowing what they do." Rule number 11 is about purpose that extends beyond the self. Marcus believed deeply in what the Stoics called sympathia, the interconnectedness of all things. The idea that your life is not an isolated event, but a thread in a vast, living tapestry. There is a quiet desperation in a life lived entirely for oneself. More money, more status, more validation, and yet the emptiness doesn't go away, because we are not built for that. We are built for contribution, for meaning, for the sense that our lives, however brief, mattered to someone, changed something, added something to the world that wouldn't have existed without us. Ask yourself this: 20 years from now, will what I'm doing today have mattered to someone other than me? If the answer is no, it might be time to recalibrate. You don't have to rule an empire to serve something greater than yourself. You just have to show up fully, honestly, generously in the lives of the people around you. That is enough. That is everything. Rule number 12, love your fate, amor fati. We have arrived at the final rule, and it is perhaps the most profound of them all. Marcus Aurelius closed his private reflections with an idea that has echoed through centuries. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, and do so with all your heart. The Stoics had a name for this principle, amor fati, love of fate, not acceptance of fate, not resignation to fate, love. The radical, wholehearted embrace of everything that has happened to you, the good, the painful, the confusing, the devastating, as necessary as yours, as the precise material from which your life is being built. Every scar has made you stronger than you know. Every loss has opened a door you couldn't have seen when you were standing in front of it. Every failure has been a teacher, quiet, patient, relentless, waiting for you to stop fighting and listen. Marcus Aurelius lost children. He watched his empire suffer plagues. He fought wars for decades. He was betrayed by people he trusted. His health declined. He knew, with the certainty that only a philosopher can hold, that he would die, and that the Rome he loved would one day fall. And yet in every page of Meditations there is not bitterness, not despair, not rage against the universe. There is work, there is love, there is presence. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." That's the final rule, the ultimate rule. Stop arguing about what a good life should look like. Build one. So let's bring it all together. 12 rules. 2,000 years old. Written by a man under more pressure than most of us will ever face, who still chose every single morning to pursue wisdom over convenience, virtue over vanity, growth over comfort. Here are the 12 rules of Marcus Aurelius, one final time. 1. Control only what you can control. 2. Begin each day with purpose. 3. Embrace obstacles as opportunities. 4. Practice negative visualization. 5. Act justly toward others. 6. Do not fear death, fear unlived life. 7. Never stop seeking self-improvement. 8. Live according to your nature. 9. Guard your inner citadel. 10. Practice voluntary discomfort. 11. Serve something greater than yourself. 12. Love your fate, amor fati. Now here's what I want you to do. Don't try to implement all 12 at once. That's not how real change works. Pick one, the rule that spoke to you most deeply, the one that made you uncomfortable, the one that you thought, I needed to hear that. Write it down. Put it somewhere you'll see it every day. And for the next 30 days, live it. Just one rule. 30 days, and I promise you, you will not be the same person at the end of it. Leave a comment below and tell me which rule hit hardest for you and why. I read every single comment on this channel, so don't be shy. This community is full of people on the same journey. Your reflection might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this video gave you something, a new perspective, a moment of clarity, a reminder of what matters, please hit the like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need to hear this message. And if you haven't subscribed yet, the subscribe button is right there. We release new videos every week on Stoic philosophy, ancient wisdom, and practical tools for building a better life. You can also share this video with someone who needs it. A friend who's struggling, a family member going through a hard time, someone who you know is searching for something more solid to stand on. Sometimes the greatest act of generosity is simply saying, I thought of you when I watched this. Marcus Aurelius lived over 1800 years ago. He is long gone. But these words, these private words never meant for our eyes, survived empires falling, survived centuries of war and plague and forgetting, survived to reach you here today. That is not an accident. Maybe some wisdom is simply too true to die. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, live with virtue, act with purpose, and love what is.